Beautiful. We are live. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. First off, thank you for all your content you've ever put out. It is inspiring to see online.
What's your favorite video?
Your top tens. So when you do those top tens on entrepreneurs, and it's like miniature clips that you get. So
Which one? Which one's your favorite?
Was it is it the motivation one or the success one? There's one that the attributes that successful people have.
Okay.
But I remember watching that a couple of times. But it's nice to see different clips from the people, and then you break it down for us,
right?
Which is always nice. So it's like redistributing the content from other people, and then you take it on. And have you put it into a book now?
So the top 10 rules is a book. We've done that as a book, and now we're turning the 254 confidence series into a book. So the idea is every day for 254 days, you read a page, you take some action, and you build more confidence in your life.
That's an awesome idea. I think I was talking to your assistant, and she said I should definitely read the book. It would bring me so much value.
Okay.
So I'm going to get onto that. And I will be sharing the book in the comments down below for people.
My assistant's now on getting in the sales mode too. All right, I like it.
She's great at what she does. She's very fast at replying. She's mentioned your book a couple of times, which is great. And then I'm going to put the book into a video, which she said that would be a great idea as well.
Cool.
Sharing more of it here in the UK. Because I believe in the UK, we need more people like yourself. We need more motivators. You've got a lot over there in the US.
So I'm Canadian, but sure. That's why you're here, man. That's Mr. Katz. That's the UK motivator. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, well, I'm trying. Well, I changed my life around from a very negative path. So I spent 10 years very negative. As you can imagine, drink, drugs, down the wrong path, dead-end jobs, very angry, self-destructive. And much like yourself, connecting with, entrepreneurs, right mindset, books has saved me massively. Just reading in general can literally save your life. Do you read a lot?
I don't read that much anymore. I used to. I'm probably at about 2 to 5 books a year. Now I get most of my content from my videos. Like my channel is my single biggest source of learning in my life. So I'm a visual learner. I learn best by being able to see stuff. So I'd much rather watch Elon Musk talk about his points and read about his points in a book. But that's my own style. Like whatever your style is for anybody watching, figure it out and go all in. Audio is the worst for me. If it's only hearing, then I struggle a lot. I have to really like close my eyes and just focus on what's being said for me to pick up anything. So thankfully for me, there's other ways. I don't listen to a single podcast because of that. I just don't learn anything. Not because the content isn't fantastic, just I suck at learning through audio. So I'm so fortunate, and I think everybody is now, that there's so many different ways to learn. If you understand how you learn, then there's lots of resources out there for you. So visuals for me, and so that's why I get most of my learning from videos.
That's probably why that you do that as well, that you create that because you know it works best for you.
Yeah, I mean, I created my channel selfishly for myself. A lot of the content it's a collaboration with my audience. Like my fans say, hey, you should do this entrepreneur, and I've never heard of them before. And so great, I get to dive into somebody's world and learn about them. And I learn something new that I can take for myself, or I don't publish a video. And so selfishly, I get to learn a lot through the content I make. And thankfully, by sharing it, other people like it too, and could turn a business into it. But I didn't want to make it like I wish you did it. I would rather just be a consumer. It's a lot of work making those videos every day. And I do it for myself, and it's great to share. But at the beginning, I didn't. Like if you had done it, I would have just subscribed to your channel.
I mean, that's the great thing about it. So many people watch you, and then they kind of, it's kind of reproducing it. So they'll see what you're doing, and they'll make their own version, which is nice. There's so many motivators out there, but you've got your own twist on it because you take everybody else's stuff and put it in a brand new video, which is nice because you break down the learning points.
Well, that was the frustrating part for me, is if I'm learning from an Elon Musk who may not be great at telling his story and doesn't do well on most interviews, and also gets asked a whole bunch of questions that I don't care about, like Tesla stock price, whatever. It doesn't impact me. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I want to learn about the entrepreneurial side of things. And so you could watch a 4-hour interview and get 20 minutes of really good stuff. And so I thought, hey, like, wouldn't it be good if somebody just took those 20 minutes out and put it into a video? Just learning the absolute, the nuggets from that interview. And since somebody else had done it, I thought, okay, well, typical entrepreneur, I'll just go do it myself.
That's the best thing. I think there's an app out actually. It's maybe Blinkist or there's a similar app that says, have you read 3 books in one day? If you haven't listened to this audio, and it gives you like the key points from books, which is a great idea.
Yeah. And then in the description, you can always go and find the entire video if you want to dive deeper. So like if I cut it off at a point that you don't like, you're like, Evan, that you suck. Like, don't cut it off there. Great. There's a link down below. Go check out the full interview. The idea is that if for, our videos are usually in the 10 to 20 minute range. So for 10 to 20 minutes a day, if you got to open up your head and fill it with the opinions of people who've had massive success, like, you can't help but get carried along. You may not notice it on a day-to-day basis, but if you did that every day for weeks and months, like, you will change as a human. Just like you said with books, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You just have to dedicate the time, whether you're spending 20 minutes a day reading one of the books behind you, or 20 minutes a day getting knowledge from videos or podcasts, or watching your Facebook lives, or any of the other stuff. There's knowledge out there. If you dedicate time every day to learning, you won't recognize who you were a year ago.
Yeah, it's that consistent growth. And I think Les Brown says it best. If you read a book, probably video now, but he said it many years ago, if you read a book a week or a book a month, in 5 years, you'll be one of the best in that industry, which I think is amazing. But the same with yourself. Like you said, most things are visual nowadays, whereas years ago it was books. Nowadays you can do online courses, you've got podcasts, you've got, video courses, and you've got YouTube, which is the best. YouTube's created a business for me anyway. I'm a carpenter by trade.
Okay.
Years at college, I actually built what I'm sitting in.
Nice.
But I wasn't very good. I did 3 years at college and I wasn't very good. I'm lucky those shelves are still standing.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it's never been easier now to find a different path. Like, I think even for our parents, there were less opportunities. Forget about your grandparents or great grandparents. Like, in your grandparents or great grandparents era, I'd be like, you're a carpenter. That's the family business. You need to go and be a carpenter, and you have no other options. And you would serve your local community and be the local carpenter, and that's your life. Where now you could say, I don't want to be a carpenter. I want to have a YouTube channel, and your parents like, you want to what? Like, it doesn't make sense that you can make money just from your phone and have a career that way. And so it's great. Like, I think that there's a lot of people who think they are stuck in a job or a career that they don't like, and they want to move on to something else. And it's never been easier to now actually jump ship and go into that and have success doing it.
It's very hard. I mean, I spent, like I say, 10 years down the wrong path, and I was very, very angry. I was angry at my bosses until they fired me multiple times. I was angry with other employees. I was angry with supervisors. I was angry that I wasn't getting paid. And I think a lot of people are stuck in that nowadays, where they're angry at the wrong person rather than looking at self-awareness.
Yeah.
Because we have so many options, especially online. I mean, Gary Vee says it best. If you're just releasing content, whatever you like doing, as long as you're doing something towards that, you can grow. It might be a mistake for a few years. It might be something that you don't really like for a few years. But at the end of it, as long as you're doing something rather than being angry and kind of stuck in your ways, you will grow from it. Even if you fail and learn, you're still learning.
Well, most people would rather complain than change. Most people would rather be entertained than educated. So most people don't like their life. Most people don't like their jobs. They don't like their careers. They don't like where they are. They think they could do more. But instead of going out and trying to learn to do more, you'd rather sit and binge watch Netflix or binge watch YouTube shows and just entertain yourself. And so you either get to laugh at somebody else's life and feel better about yours, or watch some superhero movie and escape from the life that you don't like for a little bit. And that's what most people come home and do. So instead of dealing with their problems, they run away from them and hide from them. But then the next day, you still have to get up and deal with those problems again. Most people don't want to do the work of blaming themselves instead of blaming their boss, and then educating themselves to go off and do better. Like a lot of people in your situation would not think, oh, I can go off and do something else. I'm just going to be a carpenter. I'm going to hate being a carpenter. Or my dad made me be a carpenter, and I hate my boss, and life sucks, and it's cold here in the UK, and it's like it's just all negative, right? Where it's like, no, like, dude, you could change that. Like, you could start an online business. You don't have to, even if your family's been in the carpentry business for 18 generations, like, you don't have to keep that going. You could do whatever you want. So most people won't take your path, but now more and more, like, even just you sharing that story, there's some carpenter who will watch this and feel like, you know what? Yeah, man, I don't want to, like, screw this. I'm not even good at this anyway. I hate this. I'm going to go off and do my own thing.
That's exactly why I decided to start sharing my story, because I was viewed as, a drunk guy, a guy who's always starting fights on nights out, very negative. And then when I first started helping homeless people. And then people around me were like, oh, wow, how did you do that? How did you change that? How did you get out of that job? How did you start a business? How did you, and where they seen me before being so negative, I started sharing all the positivity that I did do, and the little things.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it would impact so many from me just helping some homeless people. I just helped some homeless people, and then so many was like, how'd you do it? I'm like, I just went and bought clothes and helped.
Right.
So
decided.
Yeah, and just taking that chance.
Well, and just listen, sharing it, even if you haven't, I think a lot of people are too hesitant to share because they feel like they haven't made it yet, because I haven't built $100 million business. And so who am I to share something compared to some other mentor or guru who's out there? But if you haven't had the success that you're after yet, even just showing the journey is important. Even in the first days of you saying, I'm leaving my carpentry job to go try to make it online. And I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I heard YouTube's a thing, so I'm going to try that out and see. Even that decision to bet on yourself is an inspiration. Whether it even works out or not, like, that could inspire somebody to chase their dreams, to write their book, to ask that girl out, to take some kind of action in their life because you took action, inspired action in your life, regardless of if it ends up working out or not. So I think people share too late. And you're still always on your journey. Like for me, I don't have everything figured out. I still have so much further to go. I can help the people that, that I've gone through their situation, but also what I'm trying to do next, hopefully, is an inspiration to other people to go off and chase what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I like watching your content. And I'm usually, flicking through YouTube channels. And I always see yourself come up. You got a lot of Gary V. Gary V's very big. And he says as well, document rather than create, which is big as well.
Yeah, you can document, you can create, you can interview, right? Like what we're doing here. Great, right? So if you bring on people who you want to learn from and turn it into a coaching session, like bring on people. For anybody who wants to start a channel, go ask people who you respect and admire. And if you want to be a YouTuber, then bring on people and ask them how to be a YouTuber. Right. And you're getting free advice from experts, and then you apply that knowledge to learn and get better yourself.
That's it. I mean, I spoke to Jarek Robbins.
Okay.
And that was a big coaching lesson for me. I mean, really great guy. But yeah, just some of the stuff during the interview, during the talk, I was like, wow. And then everything he said, I was like, wow. And then I explained to him about my path and how I'm trying to help people and I want people to change. And he said, some people just don't want to. You can't save everyone. And unfortunately, you can talk to people till you're blue in the face. But a lot of people just, they might not be happy where they are, but they're not ready for change.
Most people.
Yeah.
Most people would rather complain and be entertained and shut off the world than make a change. But there's lots of people who are hungry and ready for a change as well. And so getting people at the right time, and the more voices there are. So I have my voice and he has his and you have yours. And the way you say it, like anybody from the UK automatically will resonate with you faster. Anybody who's working any kind of trades, carpentry or anything else, will resonate with your story more than mine. I started in the software industry, right? It's harder to It's harder for someone who in the trades to relate to my story. Like, oh yeah, you're something else. I was a tradesman. I built homes. It's a different business. Well, like here you are doing your thing, right? And so everybody who ends up being a voice helps be able to touch more lives. And I think it's more about when people are ready and they're searching and they find you. Those are the people who you can help the most. And for everybody else, just keep being a source of light. And eventually the people around you will see and they'll say, wow, like you've changed. What happened? Well, let me tell you, here's what happened, and when they're ready, they'll come along the journey too.
That's a great way of looking at it. Everybody's got their own, well, not niche, but everybody's got their story that people can relate to, which is nice. That's a really good way of looking at it.
Yeah. And just timing, like 5 years ago, you may not have been ready for this.
No.
5 years ago, if Jared Robbins came and talked to you, you'd be like, get out of here, man. You don't understand me. You don't know what I'm going through. Like, I'm going to go and drink, man. This is my life. Right. And then you changed and now you're ready. And now you're willing to listen to his message. Awesome. There's a lot of people like that who they're not ready yet, but they can be at some point. And absolutely your path. That's why it's so important to share what you've been through, because people can resonate with the backstory more than other people's backstory. So yeah, absolutely. Anybody in the trades that can learn from you more than me, because your story is directly relevant to what they're going through. And I can't pretend to know what it's like working in the trades, being a carpenter, dealing with whatever conditions you had to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, another thing is the youth. Do you get a lot of message from the young people saying thank you for what you put out? Because I find it really hard nowadays, because I want to connect with more young people so they don't go through the kind of traumas that I did or the lifestyle I did. And I've recently, I adopted a child 3 years ago.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about a more of a positive image for him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find it nice to impact young people? Is there anybody that's messaged you and said, look, you really changed my life, my son's life, my daughter's life?
So I'm after impact. I'm not really age specific. I think depending on the platform, Instagram, where I'm getting a lot of DMs from people, tends to be skewing a lot younger. Twitter is skewing a lot older. YouTube's a mix of everybody. I don't really care. I mean, I get pumped when I get somebody in my Instagram who's like 9 years old and has a question. It's like, man, that's awesome. Like if I had that when I was 9 years old, what year is it? I'm 38 right now. I can imagine, like if I had that at 9 years old, I'd be amazing. I'd be jumping on everybody's live streams and wanting to get advice and chat and hang out. So I think that's awesome. But I just want impact, man. I'm happy to help a 75-year-old as much as a 9-year-old.
That's good. That's good. It's not age specific. Yeah, I don't want to be age specific. I just think it's really nice when younger people take it on. Like you say, you get the younger people who DM'd, and I think that's really beautiful that younger people are taking it on. So they can be more of a more righteous path before they have to go down the wrong path.
Yeah, and it's an advantage. Like if there's anybody young watching now, that's an advantage. If you're under 20, it's a huge advantage. If you would go and approach somebody, they're willing to give you time, just because most people who are 13 are not reaching out and asking for help. And so it's an advantage to go in as somebody who's young and say, hey, I have a question. Can you help me?
Man, that's so good. And somebody just said, big greetings from Algeria. Hey.
All right. Worldwide audience. I love it.
Love it. How are you guys? Love hearts. Hey. I didn't realize we was reaching Algeria. That's lovely. Hey, Algeria.
What's up, Raheem? Yeah, and to your point, I think your purpose comes from your pain. I think whatever you went through that was so painful, that was so low in your life, whenever you felt the worst about yourself, had the least self-confidence, whatever you're most embarrassed by, like you don't want other people to have to go through that. So if you're thinking about your adopted son or just other people in general, you don't want them to have to face what you faced. You're trying to make them avoid the path that you went down. I think that's noble. I think that's what people are meant to do. I think most people are built to serve. Like I think 99.9% of people are built to serve. You want to help. If you're not happy because you're not helping, you're not serving enough. And so for you, sharing your story, knowing like this is where I felt the least happy, the least good about myself, and I want to try to make sure nobody else has to face that ever in their life. that's your purpose for life. Like that's what you're going to love doing for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I love what I do, and when people say, "Oh, you inspire me," I get some messages from people from the past, and they say, "Your stories inspired me. Your changes inspired me. It's so great to see you change from that person to this person, and the right contacts." Talking to yourself, and it's beautiful to see it now from standing in a factory, angry at the world, to now sitting in my own home office talking to amazing people like yourself, to Jarek Robin. There's another group that I'm in. It's called Ben's Business Book Club, and it's just like-minded people who talk about books, self-development, and that's a really great book club as well. Which I'll throw that down in the comments. Somebody just said hello from Nepal.
All right.
I love the power of the internet and talking to you. And hello, Believe Nation. Hello, Believe Nation.
All right, we got some hardcore fans. Well, I know we're bumping up against the clock, but it's great. It's great to see what one guy in the UK and one guy in Canada connecting on Facebook can lead to. Right? You got an international audience. Hopefully, people hear the message and use it to change their life in a positive way.
Thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it, and thank you for all your content. It is obviously worldwide, and everybody respects it. All the way from Nepal and Algeria. I think the person from Algeria is the Believe Nation.
I love it. Thanks for having me on, man.
Thank you very much. You have a good evening. Well, daytime.
Cheers, man. Cheers.